Hello, everybody. It's me, GamePenguin21, and today, oh boy, this is the second part of the two-part news stories that I've been talking about this time. Overall, what's been happening in the industry and what's been happening in the actual parts of stuff? Well, we're going to get into that. This has been the more negative parts of the news, and there is going to be boycotts as well as just general nuisances that quite honestly anger people. So be prepared for all of that. But of course, before we get into this and dive right in, if you like what it is I do and support me in other way, shape, or form, unlike and subscribe, which is always enough. Links down to everything in the description below. Please. I'm looking at 1.5k. Hopefully by the end of the year, we're getting a little bit close to even 1.4k. So it would be really helpful. I do stream every Sunday here on YouTube as well as on Twitch, twitch.tv/GamePenguin21. Every Sunday at 12 p.m. EST, we go for a few hours. We talk about gaming. We actually play some video games, and recently joined an actual Twitch team, so might be promoting a little bit of that. Overall, I am doing well. But I think with the announcements out of the way, other than, of course, that my new album is out, go out and check it. But let's get started. Snap Blast Play, coming in first with I don't give an F about the Ghost of Yotai on PlayStation, is the game of the year, 100% Metacritic. I will never play it, with the Ghost of Yotai having a boycott. Now, what specifically happened? Well, a number of things happened with the Ghost of Yotai, mainly in the fact that the main character, being voiced by them, is kind of in some hot water. This is not the first nor the last time that a piece of entertainment media has been boycotted because of the problematic, main character. Usually it's because the people in that circles are saying that because they support this, but that doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. It's all kind of weird, and people were a little bit upset about Ghost of Yotai to begin with. I'm not going to be purchasing Ghost of Yotai, but that's not because I'm boycotting it. It's more just because I personally just don't really think the game is for me. The Ghost of Tsushima definitely looks fairly fun, and Ghost of Yotai seems to be more of that, but I'd more or less just like to play Ghost of Tsushima first, because, just to get used to it, and maybe Ghost of Yotai later. But again, I'm more of also an FPS guy, so there is that as well. But there was and is kind of a boycott going on. Not sure how successful it is or how successful it's going to be, but overall, it's really weird. Basically, to add a little bit more context to that, they basically say an individual's personal views have nothing to do with this game, nor the studio as a whole. I hope SP files the dev to control the damage. The game is combined of excerpts of hundreds of deaths, and they don't deserve this. Boycotting just became a collage dedicated to a shitty opinion. Shitty opinions are one thing, and maybe I can forgive a bad opinion, but this is something else entirely. I don't really think so. Again, I don't know if it's that deep, but again, you are right that the individual personally isn't responsible for a thing. But again, at the same time, it just doesn't really look good marketing-wise to have your main character being so openly just the way that they are. It's a little bit weird, and since we're all a little bit more connected sometimes, it does tend to reflect badly to some people for that. Some people can do the little bit of that, but it's again weird. But overall, really nothing else to say on that, other than that there is a boycott going on, which is a little bit upsetting for Ghost of Yotai. I hope that it can recover, because I don't want this game to fail. Next up, we have Pirate Nation talking about Borderlands 4 reviews, mostly negative. I did talk about this, because I have talked about this in the last episode of this series, as well as talked about Randy Pitchford basically crashing out on Twitter over the most negative reviews. This is all due to the actual crash out here. This is something, again, that I covered. You can read it while I just do a little bit of a rant over it. The basics of this is that because of the fact that there was a bunch of optimization stuff, Randy basically came on here and said, you need to use all the optimization tools that we provide you, even though we don't provide any of those optimization tools, and you should just be utilizing FrameGen and other sorts of stuff, and basically crashed out on Twitter about this. If you want a full, in-depth-ish view on the whole Randy Pitchford, mega thread that he actually had on this, go and watch my video from a couple weeks ago. It really goes over most of the stuff from there. So there is that. So I'll probably link it either here in the description. And here is just a few of these actual things of them just basically talking about this. Both Michael and Pirate Nation kind of reported on this, so Hull wanted to just really talk about this. Next up, we have some Escape from Tarkov drama here, and that is that for Escape from Tarkov players, you need to now buy a new copy of the game on Steam in order to play on Steam. This is in an FAQ that was actually being talked about, and you can see that Jake Lucky basically had this whole tweet happening here. This is from the official Steam FAQ, and this was, again, released earlier this month to be talked about. A lot of people are a little bit upset about this. Me personally, I'm a little lukewarm on this in the fact that, like, it's... yeah, understandable to some extent why they would want to have people repurchase the game, as it's like been a thing for a couple of times now, but also a little bit more upsetting that, you know, it's just for Steam to do that, and, you know, you can still link your Battlestate Games account, but you won't get a review and stuff. And they have been releasing like codes and things to just try and guess the actual, you know, stuff. It's just really weird. Overall, I know that Battlestate Games has been through a number of hot waters, including some of the Unheard drama, but if you want the stuff from Steam and the possibilities of Steam, go ahead and do that. I still think that it's going to be cross-compatible with the main launcher. I'm probably just going to stick to the launcher just because I'm lazy and I don't want to spend any more money than I have to. So there's that, and it's a little bit upsetting. And as an interesting note on that sort of other thing, the full release of Arena Breakout Infinite actually had some interesting drama surrounding it, basically where Scrappy says, "I'd be embarrassed if Arc Raiders tried to market themselves by shitting on Tarkov, trying to gain attention by disrespecting the iconic game that created the game just looks pathetic, but they know it's their only option since they are a Tarkov clone, and their player count will drop drastically when the launch hype is over. Probably not creator/gamer is going... Probably no creator/gamer is going back to it once their sponsorships end." And let me just say personally, Arena Breakout Infinite is one game that I have actually played a fair bit of. It is fine. It is actually perfectly serviceable as a Tarkov clone. And what's also interesting is that it is a free-to-play Tarkov clone, which, again, kind of goes to show you how interesting the game is of itself. Not to say that it's the greatest game of all time, or that it has, like, the best mechanics ever, or whatever, but at the same time, it definitely has some more interesting, well, gameplay escalation, I guess. It really depends. Overall, it depends on what you want, and it actually has some, like, anti-cheat and stuff, and this is more of a slight jab at it, and I find it funny how this person's like, "Oh, getting embarrassed about, like, this, and you should be bad at that." As a marketing guy, this is just a viral marketing stunt. Like, it's no different than, say, Mr. Beast doing the same thing. And I know that Mr. Beast kind of got in trouble as well, but it really shouldn't be that upsetting as, well, the Microsoft stuff Microsoft and Apple have been shitting on each other for generations now, and no one's been complaining about that. So, I mean, I don't know. Just kind of makes some weird, just no sense to me. So, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Moving on, we have another thing talking about Randy Pitchford and the Dying Light co-op thing working perfectly and is perfectly optimized for this. This actually ended up causing a little bit of a stir. The main stir being that, well, this is on its own engine, was actually made on its own engine to run appropriately for at least Dying Light specifically, whereas Unreal Engine 5 was used for Borderlands 4. Now, Borderlands 4 was actually unoptimized mess, at least for some people that were there, and this game works perfectly fine, and people were saying, "Oh, well, you can't compare the two because one is made of an engine that was custom made for this, whereas the other one was, you know, made to fit everything." But they also but here's my thing. If everyone uses Unreal Engine 5, or everyone has it, and there's, like, support from the developers and even the company that made the engine in the first place, why is it still unoptimized and, like, unplayable to modern, you know, good technology, or even great technology, or, like, the top-end technology struggles to run it? Why? Like, with all that sort of optimization stuff, should they not, like, you know, be good at it at this point? It's been out for a few years now, so why is people still having trouble with this? Whereas with the custom game engine, you can optimize it, just the engine itself, more than anything. And again, this engine is a little bit older, sure, but they've still been improving upon it. It's really dumb. Also, I still do want to get the Dying Light, the Beast. Personally, it's a really good game. So yeah, I haven't played it, but I know that it's a really good one because I love Dying Light. But again, a little bias there, but we're going to be moving on. Next up, we have Battle Pulse talking about there's going to be no console crossplay in Battlefield 6. This is an interesting one because console lobbies won't exist. They will turn off crossplay, meaning they're only locked to your own platform only, and that PlayStation and Xbox can't team up without PC in the pool. It is a big change from what they expected, and how it's just very strange how PC can have their own lobbies, but Xbox, I guess, can't, or they just console-only lobbies won't exist. It's very strange, I guess. It's not like the end of the world, as, again, crossplay is, in and of itself, a great and lovely thing in general. I just find it strange how they just so happen to have that. And again, this isn't the first nor the last game that has actually done this, where there is no console-only lobbies, or in the fact that, like, PC or console can't turn off crossplay or whatever. But I don't know. It's just one thing that I think caused a lot of stress in the gaming community. I do think that if you want crossplay, you should be able to have it, and I think that it should be still toggleable to be able to have people having their own console, because, again, while there are a lot of people who play with a lot of different people, it's not like having an even playing field type thing, because it's still what does it. It's weird, and again, this is just surprising that they're actually doing that, and again, not the first nor the last game to say that console-only lobbies or one-only lobbies isn't a thing. Next up, in some more mega negative news, because that was more of a road bump into this negative news, the price increases for Microsoft. Holy shit. Going from nearly 20 to 30% of an increase, and it is a little bit insane. Some of these prices are going to be very egregious for some of the 2 terabyte stuff, going from upwards of $800 now, with the Series S going up to $400, if you can kind of see it in this. Again, as Shinobi kind of puts it. All of these are absolutely egregiously dumb ways to price your console, especially since Xbox was seen for years as the more budget-friendly option. But this is like the second price increase this year alone for these guys. And despite the fact that their game sales are seemingly very, very down, everyone's been trying to figure out what the fuck an Xbox has been smoking for this. But of course, it only really applies to the consoles, not to the accessories. Why? I have no idea. People have been trying to blame, like, the tariffs for it, but I don't even think that that's correct. It just seems very strange. And again, we are going to be having a new generation practically very soon. So, I don't know what's happening right now. It's very strange. Very, very strange. Now to even some more nuclear negative reviews, being that breaking in censorship from Chibi Reviews. Valve will no longer allow games to be updated with mature content. Even already marked with adult tag will be restricted as well. Dev confirms it wasn't a rule until Collective Shoud contacted a payment processor to censor Steam and itch.io. If game creators wish to add more mature content to their game, they have to list it as DLC and go through a review process now. The new rule seems to specify apply to adding new mature content. All of this comes from thousands of creators just lost their source of income overnight thanks to the whims of Visa and MasterCard wanting to control everyone, all in the name of brand protection or think of the children. Now, I'm not sure if that's specifically what's been happening here. I'm just going to say that Chibi Reviews did it correctly. You can also see the actual article if you want to go and check it out that just says games on Steam can no longer be updated with NSFW post-launch content. So there's that. Overall, this is terrible. And this is one of the biggest reasons why the initial censorship of this has been, like, really stupid, because people were like, oh, it's just some of these small handful of games that no one really was playing anymore. Yeah, well, now they're going after the big dogs and some of the other people for it. This also comes after the fact of, I think that Visa and Steam or something have been basically warring at this point with with Visa actually freezing a bunch of devs' accounts from them actually getting payments from Valve because of these games. Like, dude, what the fuck? Overall, this is a terrible situation, and let me be clear here, Collective Shout is an absolute menace to a lot of these people, all because they want to push this narrative of some sort of Victorian-era technology stuff. It's very stupid how they were able to even get them to, like, both Visa and MasterCard to kind of bend the knee, where, like, it's just so upsetting and dumb and stupid. Now, Nintendo gets a proper thing in the Palworld lawsuit from Pirate Nation, talking about how Nintendo asserts that Palworld is talking about mods that they need to, that they're not actual art technology or actual things that should be protected. It includes mod support from launch, enabling stuff. It sparked an industry criticism with Larian Studios director warning Nintendo that this may hinder game development and creativity, talking about how, mods are not art because they take existing stuff and, remix it into it. Allow me to express my thing with one specific word. Collage. Collage is an art form that basically has been used throughout both high and low art, including things such as scrapbooking and even some high art. There was a plethora of examples of people taking existing media, existing materials, remixing them into something completely different. I know that there are a few examples of this. There was silk screening, or it was like I believe that's what it was called, but it was the person I believe, Andy Warhol that did a lot of this stuff. I think Roshinger also did a lot of these things, mainly in the pop art movement is what I'm talking about. That was a big thing of remixing old stuff into higher forms of art. But there was also, again, collage and other sorts of stuff. And there was plenty of existing things that, take what people have, the human experience, remix it in one way or another, and make it different. What about photography? Is that an art form? Because it actually fucking is, and, people use photography for scrapbooking. So, at the same time, why is it that mods are now exempt from this, saying that they are just using, the tools provided? I mean, if they are, as we've kind of figured out a little bit on this channel, mods are technically illegal because, you have to do some sort of licensing thing. It has nothing to do with it. So it's more of a copyright issue and not a legality issue of using the stuff for it. So it's very strange. So it's just really dumb how that happens. And overall, this lawsuit is just getting all sorts of weird. Nintendo just needs to do that. The basic things about this, again, is just that. It's annoying, stupid, and dumb. Next up, we have a master of TDS here talking about how a couple days ago, Tristan of Sweet Baby Inc. talking about, quote, decolonizing cozy games, using Stardew Valley as an example. Basically, they were talking about how there were, quote, so many white people in the one game and that they need to fix it for whatever reason, and how they want to work on it, and it's just so weird. Overall, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here, and this is more of the quote-unquote Moral Guardians talking about this thing, but they completely have no idea what it is. This game, Stardew Valley, was worked on for years by one dude, and, there is mod support to kind of change and alter it to whatever the fuck it is, and it's just really weird how there are multiple different groups of interest that are trying to basically censor games to make them, quote, more family friendly to our looks because we don't like these games, when they are not the target audience and they never have been the target audience. Like, if you want to, play video games or you feel like this will negatively affect it, maybe take a look at the wider industry and realize, no, it's not. That's not how this works. You're the one now negatively affecting the industry. So, it's really, really dumb. Speaking of really, really, really dumb decisions, Payday 2 now has a subscription for something. I think also Payday 3 might have the same sort of subscription as well, but Payday 2 has a DLC for one subscription where you can get, like, all the DLC for something, where it just makes no sense as to why they would have this, as Payday 2 is no longer technically in active development and is actually kind of just not good. I'm not sure if this, requires it to be happening or you have to do it, but it just makes no sense why everything would be under one subscription when you could just get, the Ultimate Edition or something to get, better stuff. It's just really weird. I think that Payday 3 might have this, but I see this one as Payday 2, which is just really strange. Next up here, we have Nicola talking about how basically everything for PlayStation here is correct because I say so. Overall, this is from another of a peer analysis talking about the hours of people gaming in August of 2025, where PlayStation did more, apparently, by about an hour and a half more, or maybe a little bit more than an hour. It really depends. But at the same time, looking at this, it's like, oh yeah, this is what happens when you're compiling, when you don't compile, have shaders to compile. I mean, I guess, but at the same time, dude, I don't think that these numbers are accurate. Like, how did they get these numbers? What did they do to them? You're just showing a tweet for it, and not even like linking the article that the other person links in the thing so people can double check it. I don't even trust these M anymore because of the analysis that they've done previously. Hasn't necessarily been the most reliable. Plus, again, you can actually kind of calculate the amount of hours that people have done in a month because, well, Steam's overall numbers are being talked about on the actual thing, and there are more people on Steam. It's just really weird why this is like someone doing this. And I think finally, to kind of cap off this little bit of a censorship news, we have Pirate Nation talking about how the Australia under 16 social media ban potentially expands to gaming platforms such as Steam. A safety commissioner is reviewing Steam, Roblox, Discord, and other for child access restrictions by December 10th. Fines up to $49 million for non-compliance. Valve has not commented. Now, I don't know much about this, nor do I know much about the Australia governmental body in general, but this is fucking egregiously stupid. Overall, watch out for Australia coming this December. I guess be prepared to do some specific stuff. It's really dumb that they're going to probably ban Steam, which is going to hurt a lot and really shouldn't fucking happen. It's just really dumb how people are doing a lot of this censorship, and just it's really, really annoying why these sorts of things people get away with a lot. Well, that bummed me out. In any case, I think that'll about do it for this episode of I Rented the Microphone for an egregious number of hours, trying to convince people to, listen to the voice of me on this soapbox. But at the same time, I actually have some pretty decent opinions. Overall, if you like what it is I do, want to support me in any other way, shape, or form, other than like and subscribe, which is always enough, link down to everything in the description below. I do stream every Sunday at 12 p.m. EST my time. Come by, say hi. We'll talk about it, and we'll do some cool stuff. And I'm also streaming on Twitch at that same time slots, kind of multi-streaming. You might just see that my actual internet and everything kind of sucks for doing that, but I do it anyway because I like interacting with you guys. If you want any more of any of this stuff, links down and contact me, whatever you want to do. But in any case, my name is GamePan21, and a peace.
Hey man, can I get a favor? Yeah, sure, I know, see you later. Sometimes I just wanna be a hater. Gotta wash down the top 40s with a chaser. Your voice starts feeling like a waiter, scraping my mind against a cheese grater. Before you go, sir, you have to sign a waiver. That's alright, I'm aware of the danger. You wanna get away? You better get in line. Won't go another day of wasting any time. I've got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time. Got no filter, I got no filter, no